Um, well, Matt, just a bit of housekeeping first. Did everybody come through either the weekend or Tuesday night okay in terms of bumps and bruises?
Yeah, a bit of tightness in one or two. One got a knock late on Tuesday, so he didn't take part in full training today. So we'll assess them tomorrow. But we're not in a bad place physically. We've been in worse places than this in the past. You just don't want these numbers or these little problems to build up and turn into anything serious.
Yeah, and is that, having had the problems that you had last year, are you being not especially cautious but especially mindful of things like that?
Yeah, well, it's always on your mind as a manager. But I think we feel this group are capable of doing more training and being pushed a little bit more physically. So you're trying to get the balance. We have to remember, obviously, we're still in the middle of 2-3 game weeks, so to speak. So we've had a lot of games in quick succession. Only after this weekend does it die down a little bit, in theory. So we're just mindful that maybe the harder training sessions aren't as much needed in amongst the games. But then we don't want to come away from any brightness or sharpness in our games going towards a game like Stockport.
Yeah, and in terms of getting the minutes into the legs that you wanted to, a little bit of rest for like some promise, 55 minutes for your two strikers. Are you not where you want to be, but getting closer than you felt this time last week?
Yeah, I think anyone who saw promise in that first 3-game week knows that the fatigue aspect was taking its toll a little bit in terms of his game. So good to freshen him up a little bit, but then get Chris and Ruel closer. It'll still take a little bit of time for those two because they've missed so much of the majority of pre-season. They both featured in the first couple of games, but then missed that real 4-week chunk of training. So a real shame in relation to that. So we are playing catch up. Probably when going towards, if there's an international break or going towards that period, we'll be in a better position to say they're closer to being either selectable from the start and being able to play more minutes or more impact off the bench. But we're in a better position because they're both available. Now is a case of managing their minutes to basically getting them close to where we want them to be.
Another week and a bit of the transfer window. Anything moving closer, either in or out?
Nothing directly on the table. Conversations, I suppose. Georgie's taking care of that more so than myself. We've probably learnt a little bit more from the last 2 Tuesdays in terms of cup games and where the squad are at. But in terms of where the rest of the group, I don't want any distractions. So we're in a comfortable place. We did so much work early in the window, or as early as we possibly could, that we're only needing 1s or 2s, both in and out in relation to that. So we'll keep on monitoring what the options are and what the opportunities. And there's always more in the last week of the window. Always ones who maybe you didn't think were available become available, or plans change. We're in a position to be reactive. We're in a comfortable position. There's no panic about it. But we are still in the market.
And you obviously made plenty of changes on Tuesday night, but how happy were you with the goal output, getting those goals, which had been the sort of the missing pieces in the league so far?
Yeah, I mean, 3 goals should have been more. Some of their goals were poor moments from a defensive capacity. So the mindset of the team, I thought, improved from half-time onwards in terms of that game. They're always strange games, so difficult for manager and personnel on the pitch to make them real and valuable for what's next. That's why I was disappointed from 15 minutes onwards to the half-time interval, where we just lost our way a little bit and stopped moving fastest first. We always use that phrase. Whereas second half was what I wanted the game to look like: more open, more exciting. We've got we're in the entertainment business as well. So those fans who came in good numbers for that competition hopefully went home with a little bit of something, having seen 6 goals in the end and a penalty shootout.
Yeah, and is that in the back of your mind? Because as a manager, ultimately, it's all about results. You've got to win, or you're not in any job for very long. But is getting people out of their seats and on their feet and clapping, is that a big deal?
It is a big deal at a club like Bristol Rovers. I think there's an expectation from our fans in terms of a certain style and a certain nature to our play. Like I say, as long as our intent to run and to run hard is there, I think they'll forgive other moments in the game. Like I say, second half, I think the whole group played like that. Like I said, turned it into a better spectacle and more entertaining. But then you still want to win in the game off the back of it. And we would have done if we hadn't made those naive mistakes, inexperienced mistakes in the second half. But then there is a product you're putting on the pitch where you want people to get a feeling towards a team, regardless of the result. And I'm sure we were forgiven for not scoring all our penalties on Tuesday night with the second half performance.
In terms of this weekend, I think some fans who maybe haven't looked at what's been going on would look at Stockport and think, newly promoted team, an opportunity to get a result, but they're one of those teams that could well be up at the top of the table come the end of the season.
Yeah, well managed, good squad, strong personnel on the pitch. Started the season fantastically well. Probably result of the last weekend to go to Blackpool and win that game 3-0. yeah, a lot to like about them. I think we knew the clubs coming up from League Two were generally going to be stronger than previous seasons. That's already been shown in terms of league results, I suppose, and Stockport are certainly one of those. And we're going to a club on the up. Not that long ago, this team were in the National League, but with good management and a little bit of investment, they're moving through the leagues. I hope they continue to do that, because that's a big club in the northwest. But this weekend, we're going to have to find a way to nullify their attacking threat, which has obviously been on show in the first couple of games, and find a way to, similar to what we spoke about, create more chances ourselves.
And actually, based on the first couple of matches in the league, the defensive side of things, and trying to nullify them, you'd be fairly comfortable with that. Is adding that little bit extra, is that been a key to what you've done training ground in the last week, or is it just the normal thing?
Yeah, possibly, but we're 2 games in, and if Rotherham had maybe took more chances, then we would have been saying we need to work on more defensive aspects. We've had chances in those games as well. I think it's probably the numbers of actual creation moments compared to chances conceded, and the feeling that our first couple of league performances have been better defensively than in terms of attacking moments. But put the opposition into context, put early nerves, inexperienced group, a new group still being put together really, and put together in the heat of battle. We'll only get better in certain moments of the game, and personnel will affect that as well. So I'm not overly worried about what's going to come in terms of the attacking threat of this team. I hope we show a little bit more this weekend.